Brewers played a clunker on Wednesday night. We're not going to get much into that, but I was wrong about something, really wrong about something, according to you Brewers fans, which I'm stunned at. We'll get to that coming up next, along with Colin Rea. Colin Rea, fans losing faith in him. We'll get to that story here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, that was not much fun. Colin Rea kind of took them out early, giving up a 4 spot in the first inning, 4 more the next, and that was that right there. And the Brewers go on through a 13-2 loss. Had to use a position player in this one. Bowers came in and finished up the game, but we're not going to get too much into this game because that game absolutely stunk. It was a waste of time. But I did learn something about Brewers fans tonight, and we're going to get to that coming up here next here on Locked On Brewers. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOn. Use the promo code, all in lowercase, LockedOnMLB, and you'll win $50 instantly when you play, $5. All right. Now, I did a show yesterday where I started off and I said, I've been monitoring catching the Phillies and catching the Dodgers. And going into play tonight, Wednesday night, the Brewers were 2 games behind the Dodgers. And they flashed the score on TV, the scoreboard, and the Cubs had tied it up with the Dodgers. And I put, I am a Cubs fan. Go Cubs on Twitter. And they talked about it a little bit on broadcast. Not what I put on Twitter. How do you feel about that? And it seemed like they were a little indifferent about the Cubs tying it up. Cubs eventually lost to the Dodgers. And of course, as you know, the Brewers have an 8.5 game lead on the Cubs in the division in the NL Central, but in a hotly contested fight for one of the top 2 seeds in the National League, which I think is really, 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 really critical. So I put on there, go Cubs. And man, did I get the backlash because I put hashtag second seed. And some of you are worried about the Cubs catching the Brewers. Even though, according to ESPN, they have a 99.7% chance of winning the division. And the Dodgers did beat the Cubs 10-8. But I was stunned. I just thought common sense would say, well, let's get one of those top 2 seeds. It is feasible. But some of you think like the Brewers are so far behind the Dodgers and Phillies that they absolutely have no shot at it. That they have absolutely no shot. And that the Cubs, who are 8 games out at the time, 8.5 games out at the time at the start of play on Wednesday night, that the Cubs are playing so good. All right, which I don't think they're playing great. They're playing good. They're playing not great by any means. I saw them against the Yankees this weekend. They look terrible, lifeless. All right, that you're worried about the Cubs catching the Brewers in this division. I'm telling you, that ain't happening. But I guess I must be wrong because I put it out there, and man, the reaction I got on Twitter from fans who say, "Oh no, we have no shot." I mean, to sum it up, y'all basically said we have no shot. 2 games behind the Dodgers? No way. Phillies? We got games against them? No way. I'm telling you, we do not want to get in that wild card round. I'm stunned, absolutely stunned, that more fans are worried about the Brewers winning the division, which is probably at 99%. It was actually 99.7% after I checked, than trying to get a top 2 seed. That's mind-boggling to me. And here's what you all had to say. Ray says, well, I'd be more upset that the Dodgers have given us so many opportunities to take that 2 seed from them, and we fail miserably. Okay. Brian says, they have 10 games left with the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. This division is not done yet. And absolutely, I will never say go Cubs. I think part of you is that's the problem. I think if the Brewers need the Cubs to beat somebody to get into the postseason, under no circumstances would some of you cheer for the Cubs. That post right there tells me. I think a lot of this has to do with you all afraid you don't want to see the Cubs win at any cost. I think that's what it is. I'm stunned at that. Pitchers and pitchers wrote me several times on Twitter. The Brewers lost both series to the Marlins, both series to the Nationals, split a 4-game with Colorado. Can't be losing that often to bad teams and expect to stay afloat against the good ones. It is what it is. Unfortunately, it is reality. No, it is not reality, because those teams ahead of the Brewers have lost to bad teams too. You know it. Ben says, at this point, I think we need to focus on holding on to the division and clinching versus anything else. Sheesh. Ben, 8.5 game lead, 99.7%. Come on. Pitchers and pitchers again. LA has an easy finish to the year, relatively speaking. Currently 4.5 in back of the Phillies. Winning 2 or 3 against them only makes a single game up. Not realistic. Well, I mean, of course, you're going to need help from other teams as well. But if you can come back within range of some of the Dodgers, I'm stunned at this. Josh, even if we miraculously sweep Philadelphia, only then is the 2 seed a realistic possibility. You don't need to sweep Philadelphia. Remember the Brewers catching the Mets in 2008 and knocking the Mets up. Remember how the Mets slumped to the wire against the Marlins? Oh, gosh. Andrew, Chuck is delusional. Oh, I'm delusional. Oh, I'm so delusional. The Brewers, after tonight, have lost 6 of their last 8, 13 of their last 16 against playoff teams. The Cubs are hot, breathing down their neck. I have a bad feeling about this. They're 8.5 games behind them with 2.5 weeks left. It's not happening. It's not. The Cubs aren't catching them. Chuck, I'm delusional for overlooking the Cubs and worrying about the Dodgers and Phillies. I'm stunned, guys. I'm stunned. Pitchers and pitchers. He kept coming after me. We're going after each other. 13 games without a day off. You're missing the fact, Chuck. You're not making 3.5 games in a stretch without a sweep of Philadelphia. San Francisco, Arizona, Philly, and Arizona today. Okay. Y'all are concerned about the Cubs. I mean, that's a big sample size right there of people worried about this division yet. Wow. Okay. All right. Brewers 8.5 behind. I'm a man of the people. Brewers 8.5 behind the Cubs. Chipped off a number off that magic number by the Cubs losing. Come on, Dodgers. Come on, you can come back and beat the Cubs again tomorrow. We don't need that 2 seed. We don't want our season to end in 27 hours again. We don't want that first round bye. We don't want home field advantage. Now, let's worry about the Cubs and take our chances in the wild card. I'm not saying the Brewers are better than the Phillies or Dodgers, but the door is left open. But I won't talk about it anymore. If you all think that's that much impossible of catching the Dodgers and Phillies. And I know it's going to happen if the Brewers don't catch them. Oh, see, Chuck, we told you. I told you. Okay. That just describes us completely as as Brewers fans sometimes. But, the Brewers have done it to us. 54 years and 1 World Series title. I get that. Yeah, on TV, they were a little indifferent as well. But I guess what I think it is, like I said, in part, in no way possible, if the Brewers went to game 162 and the Brewers were in a chase with, let's say, Cincinnati, and the Cubs had to beat Cincinnati in that final day, you all wouldn't be cheering for that to happen. A lot of you, no way I could cheer for the Cubs. Even if it means getting a better playoff spot, even if it means getting a better seed, ain't no way any of you guys are cheering for the Cubs. Wow. Stunning. All right. Well, we got to start cheering for Colin Rea because he was terrible. Flat out terrible. Some of you are really worried about him making a postseason start even. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening and watching us every day. You everydayers, every day, downloading our podcast, watching our podcast. And I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Making us the number one Brewers podcast on the internet. It's you guys out there who do it to us. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads, wherever you download your podcast. That's where you get Locked On Brewers. And, of course, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's number one daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 billion active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch their winnings roll right in. You can win up to 10 times, 100 times your money. But you got to download the PrizePick app today. Use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB. When you use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. That code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win that $5 play to receive the bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Also, this show is brought to you by TonaI. TonaI, for those of you who strive on getting stuff done, workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need TonaI. The smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of working out so you can make sure you're getting the most out of every rep. Life is busy. Fitting in a workout is tough, stressful. With TonaI, you get an efficient workout personalized just for you and available with the amount of time that you have available. Even the most dedicated gym goers struggle with consistency. We all do. I start working out and find time, life just gets in the way. TonaI helps you out in that area. They're the world's smartest and most effective strength training system, helping you get stronger, powered by AI. Right now, TonaI is offering our listeners $200 off your TonaI purchase with a promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's TonaI, TonaI, TonaI.com. Use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB. $200 off your first purchase, That's TonaI, TonaI.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200. Terrific way to get your workout in with TonaI. All right. That's probably the most heated I got this year with the Brewers. Not the game, not any situation, not any player movement or anything like that. I just, with fans out there afraid to cheer for the Cubs against the Dodgers and are worried about this divisional race yet, ahead of getting one of the top 2 seeds. Man, okay. Colin Rea. Should we be worried about Colin Rea, who's made a couple of bad starts here? 4-inning start his last time out. And this one got destroyed. I mean, he got destroyed in this outing. Put the Brewers in an early hole. Ended up sticking around for 4 innings, giving up 10 runs. That's the proverbial take one for the team right there. 4 innings, 11 hits, 10 earned runs. Saw his ERA climb up over 4 after it's been in the 3s most of the year. He didn't have it. He was terrible. Manager Pat Murphy said after the game, maybe he's a little fatigued. His pitch count, his innings are up there, higher than they've ever been. He's 12-5 now. Do you skip a start? You send him down to Nashville? What do? Give him a little rest? Now is not the time for any of that. But he has not looked good in his last 2 starts. It's not the time for anybody to be falling in the tank. And especially for a guy we want to make start one of those playoff games. If it does go to 3 games, he's probably the number 2 starter, I would think, in the playoffs. Maybe Myers, but I would think might be Rea, one of the 2. Some of you, I see, want DL Hall, who's pitching well. 12 scoreless injuries, 12 scoreless innings since coming off the injured list. Ashby, he's been great. You guys been calling for him. I'm not ready to throw away what Colin Rea has done for the entire season so far. He's been real good. He's been real good. Let's give him some more starts. And even then, but maybe it's fatigue. Maybe you have him miss a start here. But he looked bad. Sat down to have my pizza. Went to a restaurant. After Shannon was done golfing tonight, I said, let's go watch the Brewers game. Went off, had a pizza at this place where I have half-price pizzas on Wednesday. Went there. Probably shouldn't have had a pizza, but I was hungry for one. So let's go watch the game. Game starts at 8:45. So we get there. Pregame show's going on. All the TVs are on the Brewers game in the house. Sit down, and he gives him a 4 spot. And then Terang comes back, strikes out with the bases loaded at the top half of the second inning. All right. They work a nice couple of bats before him. A couple of guys walk. Sanchez, the first guy on with a base hit. And then Terang strikes out on 3 pitches to end the inning. And then the first 3 batters get on in the bottom of the second, and it's off. Yaz hits a home run, and it's 8-0, and I'm ready to go home. Was going to watch the whole game there. We got in the car, and I was like, disappointing. Do you want to turn the game on? I was so ticked off with them being down 8-0 in the second inning. I said, no, I don't even want to hear it, because there ain't no way they're coming back from 8-0 deficit. I was tuned out at that point. I was so disgusted. And this is one of the few times that I've been Sunday's game too. That was the game against Colorado, the 4-1 loss where they went 0 for 21 to finish off the game. But this one, I'm expected to have a good night, watch the game. And then Colin Rea gives him 8 runs in the first 2 innings. He gives him a 4 spot in the first. I'm not done yet after he gives him that first spot, because he gives him that 4-run first inning. I'm thinking we're still in this game. And then Terang strikes out with the bases loaded. And I'm telling you, when Yaz hit the home run, I might have split a bobblehead, which I haven't done all season. All year long, I haven't split one of my bobbleheads. I got a Chris Capuano one right over there, just ready to be thrown out on the deck. But I haven't had to do that at all this year. Did it last year a few times, very few times, but not this year. So Yaz gets the homer, check please, and we're out. Thought we'd be there for the whole game, having a couple of beers or whatever. No, came home, ate the pizza, came home, 8-0, got in the door. It was 8-1, and watched the rest in agony. But I did not want to listen to the game on the way home because I was just I had steam coming out of my ears. But Colin Rea, back to him. Let's give him a little bit more time. Not done with him just yet. All right. Big game tomorrow against San Francisco. Got to get the train back on the tracks because they are struggling. The Brewers are. Get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook for a reason. Man, they're just awesome. The lines, the customer service, you name it. And with this little deal right here, now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of the NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with YouTube TV, the base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. But they're going to give you a head start. 3 weeks free trial. All you got to do is bet $5 with FanDuel. That's a heck of a deal. If that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for It All Sunday. This Sunday, pre-game moneyline bets Profit Boost will be live starting Thursday. That's today. View your account page now to learn more about that Profit Boost from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. This is Chuck Freeman on Locked On Brewers. Part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Need one from Frankie Montas. He was pitching well last Friday night, and he gives up that 3-run home run as the Brewers were clinging to a 1-0 lead. Lost that game 3-2. Things have not been right since the win on Labor Day against the Cardinals. They got the win against St. Louis. It was 9-3. And that's the game Adames had a 3-run homer in the first inning. And I'm like, God, I love life. I love the Brewers. Things are going well. And then what happens is they drop the next 2 in extra innings, get beat by Colorado on Friday, win on Saturday, lose on Sunday to Colorado, think things are okay by winning game 1 in San Fran. But right now the Brewers are in a funk for the last 8 days. Since a week ago Tuesday, they are in a funk. They have not played well, even in their wins. The win yesterday, it was a needed win, but was not a great offensive night. The win on Saturday, 5-2, exploded early for offense, quiet the rest of the night. But Frankie Montas gave that 3-run home run last Friday night, and the Brewers ended up losing 3-2. Frankie needs to come back and get him a win. And you know what? He's playing right now. I think he's pitching. He is auditioning for one of those starts in the playoffs if we get that far. If we get to a 5-game series. If the Brewers are lucky. Maybe Montas has used the long relief. I don't know. But Frankie Montas needs, these last 2.5 weeks are auditions for some of these guys. Colin Rea, I don't know if he's going to pitch himself out of a spot. I wouldn't think so, but if he continues to be bad, maybe. And DL Hall and Ashby, who knows? Who knows what Pat Murphy's going to create in the postseason? We've seen what Council will do, bring in the opener and all that. We'll see how creative Pat Murphy gets in the postseason. I have a funny feeling Murph is going to do some off-the-wall things too, like we saw Council do a few times, and especially in 2018. Some of the out-of-the-box things. We'll see if Murphy does some of those. But Montas needs to start. Hayden Birdsong. The Brewers did beat Birdsong when he pitched against the Brewers at AmFam Field back on August 29th. Knocked him around a little bit and got the win against Birdsong. So Montas against Birdsong in the final game of the series, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they'll be in Arizona. 8:45 Thursday night, usually afternoon game on getaway day. It's a night game. It's a night game for the Brewers. So got to wait all day again for a late night on the second Thursday night football game of the year. I know how big football is in the state of Wisconsin, but we got the division to clinch here with that magic number. We got the division to clinch and to get this. I think more importantly, getting this team on a right track and playing some good baseball going into the postseason. Maybe this is the funk. This would be something I'd be worried about in the postseason, but let's get this bad play out of their system right now. And then when we get to the postseason, play some good ball. But you got to see some good ball here in the last 2.5 months or 2.5 weeks. There's some guys in this team that have got to play better. I've talked about that before, and I'll stick by that. That fourth spot continues just to burn me when I see it every day in the lineup, whoever it is, Bowers or Sanchez. But 2.5 weeks, this team's got something to prove. It's got to play well. It's got to get themselves right for the postseason. Clear the top 2 seeds and even the division. These guys have got to play well themselves. Without scoreboard watching, these guys got to get themselves right because something's not right since last Tuesday. It's not like they've lost 8 in a row, but something's missing from these guys. Maybe they need a bust-out game or two, but they just don't look right. For a first time in a while, maybe in July, there was a couple of series there where they just didn't look right before the All-Star break, and then they came back and they won like 5 in a row after the All-Star break. But let's come back and take 2 or 3 from San Francisco. 8:45 on Sirius XM. The SXM app, search Brewers. You get all 162 of the Brewers. Baseball on Sirius XM. It's going to do it for the show today. Hey, please, thank you for your continued support of Locked On Brewers. Find us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcast. We are there. We are there. All the content is free, but please subscribe, whether you on your podcast downloads or on our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode. All the likes as well. I appreciate that. Continue to support our free channel, Locked On Brewers. It's going to do it for Locked On Brewers for this Wednesday. We'll see you late night Thursday night with the wrap of that 3-game series. And we'll look ahead at Arizona as well. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers.